All right, so I was on engine 22 the night of this accident. We were on an MVA with the engine 3. We got cut loose by engine 3, and we got on scene and found Forest Hill was on scene already, Forest Hill PD. And PD related to us that there's a car in the water, it's upside down, and they could not break the window with their asps. So me and Jeff Smith decided to put our air packs on, and we were going to swim out to this car and just thinking the car was just stuck in the mud upside down or just in the water and just stick our face under the water and break the windows and do what we had to do. But realizing on the way out that the car was sinking and going underwater, we had the air packs on our back, and it was quite a ways out. Those air packs were getting pretty heavy. So we turned around and went back to shore and got a lifeline and drug a lifeline out with us. And we just had just our t-shirts and our pants on. And we saw the taillights of the car. And so we started swimming down towards the car that was underwater. Being so cold outside, it felt like we couldn't get a big breath of air. And so we were taking what we could in and then going down, and we could get to the car. Like me personally, I got to the car tire, felt the window, but I don't think I had a window punch in my hand. I thought I broke the window, but I don't think I did. I think when the dive team got there, they said they had to actually break the window, so I might have missed, but it was dark and cold, and I think the dive team said it was at 12 feet too, so we were going down pretty far. So by the time we got down there, we couldn't do much work at all. Our officer was Chad Powell, and he came out there with his PFD on and his SCBA, but his SCBA wasn't working. I believe once he got in the water, that cold water, it kept acting up. It couldn't get a good breath of air, and so he couldn't go down far with that either. So he went back on shore. If I had to do something different, I would probably take a PFD with our air pack, just like Chad Powell did, or Lieutenant Chad Powell did, and try that, and maybe the purge valve. I think last time when this incident occurred, I believe the air shop said if you open that purge valve and leave it flowing, it'll actually give you more air and you can actually go deeper with the SCBA. So that's probably what if I do it next time, that's probably what I have to do. I would use that purge valve.
So, I don't know, 10 or 12 years ago or so, Engine 22 came upon a scene where a car had gone off, with a mother and her kid in the car, had gone off into a retention pond in about 12 feet of water. When they got there, the car was about 50 yards from the shore, and they could see the taillights of the car. And the two firefighters and the officer on there went out and attempted to make a rescue out of that car. And they had the foresight to know that they weren't going to be able to open the doors, and obviously the windows weren't going to roll down. So they brought tools out there to make access to the car, but they brought axes and a Halligan. Well, once the water got deep enough, they had trouble. Once the water got so deep, they couldn't no longer walk out there, and it was in about 12 feet of water. They had difficulty getting to the car with those tools, and then once they got to them, they realized underwater those were ineffective. So instead, if you ever come on that situation, you want to make sure that you've got the right tools. You want to be dressed not in any bunker gear at all, just your street clothes, and you want to make sure you take a tool punch and then something to cut the seat belt and or cut the airbags that may have deployed over that window. So in this scenario, you are on an engine company and you've got a victim on top of a car in dynamic water. You can't get to them, but you've identified a spot that an aerial could actually reach them. So as you're waiting on the aerial, in case that car ends up moving downstream, you want to make sure that your victims have PFDs. So the first thing you're going to do is get your throw bag off your truck or your utility rope, make contact with the victim, tell them to stay calm, grab the end of the rope, but this is not to haul them in. Make sure they understand that we're not going to pull them to shore using this throw bag. We're just going to get them a PFD.
Hey, look, catch the rope.
Tell them to stay on top of the car.
Stay on the car, don't leave the car.
Okay, so
Feed the rope back to me.
So now that he's got him into that rope, we can make a clothesline out of it. So he's going to pull enough slack back, then he's going to tie either a butterfly or a quick figure 8 on a bite. And if you have a carabiner, you can clip the PFD directly. You can attach the PFD to the rope with the carabiner. If you don't, you can just use the buckle to make. So what you did was essentially made a quick clothesline. And if you need to attach multiple ropes together to do that, you can do that. The other thing to remember too is if you actually had dynamic flowing water, you can use that as a zip line. And if you move upstream, you can use the water that'll slide that PFD to the patient or to your victim on top of the car. So a couple other things to remember: if you are the first company on scene and you're not going to be able to reach the victim, and you've got an aerial coming to make the rescue, as you're setting up, it was important to have some downstream safety, some guys downstream with a throw bag, so that victim does end up getting washed down before the aerial can pluck them off the top of the car. You've got some safeties downstream with throw bags that you can make the rescue there. So in this scenario, the shore-based rescuers have already got your victim who's on top of the car, a PFD. The ladder truck or the quint has been set up. As you can see, the ladder is coming directly off the back, the most stable position for that ladder to be in. But you have to be aware that the tip of the ladder is below grade. So while the ladders do have a significant load, they will be able to handle a significant load at the very end when they're fully extended. You still have to be aware that there are maximum load capacities on the end of those ladders. So when the rescuer comes down, he's not going to get on the end of that ladder with the victim. He's going to send the victim up. If the victim can make his way up the ladder by themselves, you want to wait till that victim's about halfway up before you start going up the ladder yourself. Hey, Jeremy. Okay, so the diver rescuer is going to come down the ladder. Make contact with the victim. Stay where you are, sir. Don't get on the ladder. So the other thing too, to be really important especially for the driver operators of these of the ladder trucks, you do not want, whatever you do not want to get the end of that ladder in the water, because the moving water has a significant impact. It can have a significant impact on the end of that ladder. So he's going to wait just a second until that victim's about halfway up, so that the load is not all on the end of the ladder. Now, if you're lucky enough to have one of the downtown companies who actually has a bucket, you can actually put your victims in a bucket, and then the bucket can actually deploy the victim and the rescuer to safety without even having to climb down the ladder. In this scenario, now we've got two victims on top of the car. The shore-based rescuers have already gotten both their victims a PFD. So you want to make sure you make contact with those victims and tell them not to get on that ladder until the rescuer comes down to get them. So if you've got weight on top of an object in the water, as you remove that weight, it could potentially move the object could become more buoyant. The car could start floating and move down. So I'm going to have the rescuer actually get on the car with the victim, send the first victim up. If they're able to go up by themselves, make sure we're also, again, aware of how much load we're putting on the tip, since it is a below grade at this point. All right. Okay, so the whole time the shore-based rescuers are making contact with the victims. Tell them to stay calm. Wait till the rescuer gets to them. Obviously, if the car had the potential of moving or it was a very dynamic situation, once that ladder gets there, those victims are going to go, they may just self-rescue right up that ladder. Okay, so the rescuer's now at the end of the ladder. He's going to hop on top of the car. He's going to send one victim up at a time so we're not overloading the end of the ladder. He's talking to his victims, reassuring them in his very soothing captain voice. And obviously, if that car does start to shift as the weight changes on top of the car, then you want to, don't worry about how much weight you put on the end of the ladder, you want to make the rescue. But if we can help it, and also if your victim's not able to self-rescue, if they need assistance with the ladder, then go ahead and help them up the ladder.
To begin with, your rope bag's usually going to be prepared like so. You'll have a loop, you'll have a clip right here, and then you'll have a cinch right there. To prepare your rope bag to throw, open it up, release your loop, and then go ahead and clip this back together. It gives you a good handle. Loosen your cinch, because you want that to be as wide open as possible to deploy the rope as quick as it can without tangling. Take the end, hold it in your hand. Never wrap a rope around your hand because it can get tangled and drag you into the river or the water source. Always keep a good handle right at the knot. Prepare the rope bag like so. That way you can toss it easily. You want to position yourself 5 to 10 feet from the bank. If the water's going and your victim grabs a hold of the rope, you don't want the weight of the victim to drag you into the river. You need a little bit of a cushion to decelerate the victim so that you can maintain control and stay on the bank. Also, if the victim is very heavy, if you have a second person with you, whenever they load the line, it may drag you. The second person can press down on the back of you and anchor you so that you can maintain control of the victim on the rope. On this case, the riverbank is exhibited by the yellow line here. I would not want to come and position myself right here, as that sets me up for being dragged into the river, whether off that bank or this bank, okay? Whenever we have a victim coming downstream, position yourself. You want to yell, "Hey, look!" That way the victim is looking at your rope, knows that a rope's coming. Yell "rope" and throw downstream of the victim. "Hey, look, throw back." Try to position the rope over in between the victim's arms. Take the rope, wrap it on the river side, never wrap it on the other side. Brace yourself for the load. Hold it, and then the victim will pendulum across into the eddy or onto the bank, where another rescuer can go assist that victim onto shore. If you miss your victim, quickly make loops with the rope, like so. Making sure you keep it like so will help with the deployment. Once you get a couple loops in, take. "Hey, look, rope." "Hold on." Always have a second row bagger downstream. That way, if you miss with either your first or second try, you have someone downstream to catch it. Always work in pairs. That way you know if your partner falls in the river or in the waterway. To stuff the throw bag, position the rope over your shoulder, hold the bag in front of you, and just put it in. Don't take a big wad and put it in because it'll tangle. Stuffing a throw bag is a very time-consuming evolution, so it's best to take the time to do it. The first time, do it right. Then, after you throw that first shot, that's going to be your best shot at rescuing the victim. Use the hand wrap method to make the loops. for the second and third tries if you get those. If you take a whole bunch of it, like so, and stuff it in, this will guarantee a tangled mess and your bag will not be effective. So don't ever stuff your bag with big old wads like that. Take it, take one hand below your other hand, make a loop, put the rope over your shoulder.
Ready.